How to end procrastination using neuroscience. You have an important task to do, something game-changing for you. Your brain knows it, you know it, and yet you find yourself organizing your books alphabetically by author, watching videos of a hamster eating a miniature carrot, or suddenly feeling an uncontrollable urge to scrub the bathroom grout with a toothbrush. If this sounds familiar, welcome to the club. For years, productivity gurus and motivational coaches have told us that procrastination is a moral disease, a combination of laziness, lack of discipline, and poor time management. They've sold us planners, apps, and a truckload of guilt. But what if I told you it's not your fault? What if I told you that procrastination has nothing to do with your willpower, but rather with a battle taking place inside your head right now? A battle between a genius planner and a chimpanzee. Yes, a chimpanzee who only cares about one thing, the quickest, easiest reward possible. Here at the Anti-Coach Social Club, we don't hand out whips, we hand out knowledge. And today we're going to use the brain's instruction manual, neuroscience, to understand why you procrastinate and how you can finally make peace with the primate in your mind and start doing what truly matters. Forget guilt. Forget brute force. Prepare to meet the monkey in charge. Introducing Monkey in Charge, your procrastinating brain. Imagine your brain is a company with two very different directors. The first is the CEO, let's call him the planner. He lives in your prefrontal cortex, the most evolved part of the brain, just behind your forehead. He wears well-cut suits, thinks long-term, creates spreadsheets, sets goals, and understands perfectly well that finishing that report today will bring you benefits in the future. He's the voice of reason, the adult in the room, but he has a majority partner. And that partner is a chimpanzee. Let's call him the impulsive. He lives in the limbic system, one of the oldest and most primitive parts of our brain. The chimp doesn't understand spreadsheets, deadlines, or retirement plans. His philosophy of life is simple. If I can't eat, play, or escape it now, I don't care. He operates based on feelings and instincts, and when the planner presents a large, complex, or vaguely uncomfortable task, like filing taxes or starting gym, the chimp senses a threat. To him, boredom or fear of failure are like a predator in the jungle. And what's his reaction? Run away. He hits the big red eject button and whisks you away to a safe and pleasant place, the comfort of distractions. Procrastination, then, isn't you being lazy. It's your inner chimp taking over the ship to protect you from discomfort. He's not evil. He's just primitive. The problem is that we live in a modern world full of complex tasks, and our chimp's operating system hasn't been updated in millennia. Understanding this dynamic is the first step to stopping fighting yourself and starting to negotiate with the primate. The distraction drug, the dopamine loop. Now that we know our inner chimpanzee, we need to understand its primary currency, its favorite food, the force that drives it, dopamine. Think of dopamine not just as the pleasure neurotransmitter, but as the neurotransmitter of anticipation, of reward. It's the chemistry that makes us seek things. And herein lies the root of all our procrastination problems. When you face a challenging task, like studying for the final exam, your brain calculates that the reward, a good grade, is very, very far away. The associated dopamine release is minimal, almost non-existent. To your inner chimp, this is the same as offering you a banana that won't be ripe for 3 months. It's not interested. In contrast, what happens when you pick up your phone? Every notification, every short video, every new message is a promise of a small but immediate reward. It's a dopamine slot machine. Every scroll is a pull of the lever, hoping for a quick prize. Your brain isn't choosing leisure over work. It's choosing the certainty of an immediate chemical reward over the uncertainty of a future reward. We're fighting an unfair biochemical battle. Distraction tools were designed by armies of engineers to be irresistible to our chimpanzee. They're the equivalent of an infinite tree of ripe bananas. Meanwhile, that important task you need to do is a dull vegetable at the back of the fridge. It's not about weakness, it's about chemistry. Your brain is literally addicted to doing anything other than its duty. The good news? We can use this same reward system to our advantage. We just need to learn to offer the right bananas at the right time. Chimpanzee training. No whip, please. So how do we convince an impulsive primate to cooperate with our inner CEO's plans? The answer isn't brute force. Trying to force the chimp to work will only result in more stress, more avoidance, and ultimately you exhausted on the couch, watching another episode of that show. We need to be smarter. We need training techniques, or rather, negotiation techniques. And here are 3 neuroscience-based tricks that work like magic. First, the 2-minute rule. The biggest obstacle for our primitive brain is the energy required to start something daunting. The task of cleaning the entire house seems like a mountain, but the task of putting a dish in the sink takes less than 2 minutes. Writing a book is paralyzing. Opening a document and writing a sentence is easy. By making the beginning of the task ridiculously small, you remove the barrier of fear. The chimp doesn't even realize he started working until the momentum has already swept him away. Second trick, break the task into bananas. A huge project is a dark and dangerous jungle for our brains. But a series of small, clear tasks is a path of bananas. Instead of prepare the presentation, your list becomes 1. Research 3 articles on the topic. 2. Choose 5 images. 3. Write the first paragraph. Each completed item releases a small dose of dopamine, which creates a positive feedback loop. You're essentially feeding the chimp small rewards to keep it going. And finally, temptation bundling. A brilliant technique that combines what it needs do with what he wants to do. I can only listen to my favorite podcast while I'm cleaning the kitchen. Or, I'll only have that special coffee after I respond to important emails. You're tying the immediate reward, pleasure, to the execution of the boring task. This isn't discipline, it's clever bribery. The moral hangover of procrastination and the panic hormone. Let's talk about the dark side of procrastination. That feeling that hits you on Sunday night when the weight of everything you didn't do over the weekend crashes down on you. It's a mix of guilt, anxiety, and low-grade panic. We call it a moral hangover. Ironically, we procrastinate to avoid negative feelings, like boredom or the insecurity of not knowing how to complete a task. But by putting it off, we create a much bigger emotional monster. And neuroscience explains why. When we avoid a stressful task, our brain gives us temporary relief. The problem is, the task doesn't disappear. It stays there in the back of our mind, and our internal alarm system knows it. This generates a continuous low-level production of cortisol, the stress hormone. You're not truly relaxing. You're in a constant, exhausting state of alert. As the deadline approaches, cortisol production spikes. It's the famous last-minute panic that supposedly gives us superpowers to finish everything in one night. What it actually does is put our brains into survival mode, impairing creative thinking and long-term memory. That's why work done in panic is rarely our best work. The cruelest part of this cycle is guilt. The voice of the inner anti-coach that says, "You're a failure. You should have started sooner." This voice doesn't motivate, it paralyzes. Studies show that excessive self-criticism only increases the likelihood of procrastinating in the future, as it associates the task with feelings of shame. The real way out of this cycle isn't being harder on yourself. It's self-compassion. It's understanding that you put off the task because your brain was trying to protect you from discomfort. Forgiving yourself for procrastinating breaks the link between the task and the emotional pain, making it much easier to simply start over. The Imperfect and Happier Primates Club. After delving into the depths of our brain, getting to know the stubborn chimpanzee that lives there, understanding its hunger for dopamine, and learning some tricks to negotiate with it, we can reach a liberating conclusion. The goal has never been and never will be to end procrastination. That would be the same as trying to end hunger or sleep. The impulse to seek comfort and avoid discomfort is a fundamental part of who we are. It's engraved in our primate DNA. Trying to eliminate procrastination completely is a recipe for frustration. It would be like firing your senior partner, the chimpanzee. Impossible. True wisdom, the philosophy of our anti-coach social club, is not to strive for the perfection of a productive robot, but rather the harmony of a slightly more conscious primate. The goal is dance, not war. It's knowing when the chimpanzee is in control and having the grace to ask, "What are you afraid of?" It's having the wit to leave a trail of bananas, small tasks, to guide you in the right direction. It's understanding that some days the chimp will win. He'll convince you to stay on the couch, and that's okay. Victory isn't in never failing, but in having the self-compassion to forgive yourself and try again tomorrow, without the burden of guilt. The goal isn't to become a machine. It's to become a better manager of your inner zoo, a manager who understands that the most impulsive creature inside is also part of you, and that, with a little strategy, empathy, and a few bananas, you can, together, build incredible things. Welcome to the club of imperfect, conscious, and, therefore, much more effective and happy primates. So, to recap our journey through the cerebral jungle, procrastination isn't a character flaw. It's a conflict of interest between your inner planner and your inner chimp, which only wants immediate rewards. This chimp is addicted to easy dopamine, which is why distractions are so powerful. But instead of fighting it, we can use clever tricks. Start with 2-minute tasks, break down big projects into bite-sized chunks, and combine the boring with the fun. And most importantly, when procrastination wins and the moral hangover hits, the solution isn't the whip of guilt, but the embrace of self-compassion. The secret isn't to get rid of the chimp, but to learn to be its friend and guide. Remember, the goal here at the Anti-Coach Social Club isn't perfection. It's progress. It's about taking a small step today, even if you stood still yesterday. It's about understanding how your mind works, so you can finally work with it, not against it. We hope this journey through neuroscience has been as enlightening for you as it is for us. And now, your first 2-minute task. If you enjoyed this guilt-free, slightly more brainy approach, consider joining our club. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our next investigations into how to live better, being the wonderfully imperfect primate that you are. And we'd love to hear your story. What's the weirdest or funniest thing you've ever done to procrastinate? Leave your comment below. Reading each other's stories reminds us that we're all in this together. Until next time.